just like PT. Let's warm up. We got 28 people in.
I just let about four more people in, Ernie. So I think we're good to go ahead and get started.
Okay, great. So welcome everybody to North Florida region KW Military Mastermind. Thank you so much for attending today. We've been listening to the region's information, their feedback, what they want to hear. And today I got Ray speaking on portability to give you something about the market as far as for the taxes. And then I got Karina Gafford from MAPS Coaching. And then I got Lisa Tabler from Wells Fargo to give a class on the Hometown Heroes program to discuss just a brief discussion of this. I do want to go over some of the questions that were given to me from our last class, or should I say our last mastermind. A lot of people were asking about Levi, how to contact Levi. So he gave us a good direction. If you want to speak to him directly, write this down. He said to use this email, military@kw.com. Basically, that's the way he would love for everybody to communicate with him. Send up your ideas, send up your feedback. Of course, regionally, we would love for you guys to funnel it through us. That way we could send it to him when we have our masterminds with him. Another thing that came out of that is that he started giving a lot of other classes as well for brainstorming. There was one that was just happened on the 17th, and we try to share that with everybody in the region. And then the KW military pins, that was another update that he is updating the pins. Currently, we have one that says veteran, and they're looking on working some that say KW military. And of course, we shared something that we do in VA Rep, a KW Patriots pin, and that's just a suggestion. So if you have any suggestions for that, please funnel it up that way. I want to respect the time right now, and I want to go ahead and bring our first speaker today, Ray Lopez, to talk about briefly about what he has to bring to the table today. And I hope everybody gives him all the attention. Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, thanks, guys. Thanks for serving. Thanks for being part of the KW military group. I'm very honored to be here today talking to you guys. Has anybody been to one of my portability classes? Just raise your hand. I know Andrew has. All right, Maria, I see that. So guys, this is what I'll tell you. Portability is not sexy, but in this changing market with everything kind of going in a different direction, we got the economy going one way, we got the stock market going down, we got crypto in the toilet. The one bright spot, and interest rates are double what they were 7 months ago. The one bright spot is, about 3 months ago, I got a chance to learn a little bit about portability and what it can do for our clients. And once I started digging into this, I'm actually an operating principal of several market centers, but more importantly, I'm an agent like you guys. And what I'm constantly looking to do is always bring value to my clients. So when my clients think about real estate, they don't think of me as a realtor, they think of me as a resource, okay? So when you hear homestead and you hear portability, I've lived in Florida all my life. And since 2008, when portability was, since the inception of portability, I never really understood what it was. I just knew that you could save some money if you moved. That's all I knew. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of what I've learned and how cool it is and what value you can bring to your clients. And then at 2 o'clock, Ashley and Georgia have asked me to teach a whole class about this, okay? So first and foremost, guys, all portability is when you go and you live in a primary home in Florida and you've lived there and you're moving to another primary home in Florida. When you move from one house to another house, your homestead savings can go with you. Okay, and I'll explain what that means. All that means, for instance, I'm going to use me as a person. If I were to sell my house today, I'm going to go ahead and start the screen share. Now, I'm really good at portability, but I'm really bad at technology. So you guys just go ahead and just give me a little bit of a break here. I'm going to go here and I'm going to share. Okay, can you guys see on the screen? That's my tax roll.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so the house that I live in right now, my house is this house right here. My market value per the Orange County tax appraiser, my value right now is $354,570. Okay, let's just say that it's 355. The good thing is because I've lived in it since 2003, my assessed value, let's just say it's 250. So if I had it my way, I'm married. If I had it my way, I'd go live on a lake somewhere on the ocean, but my wife won't let me. But if I did, I would move, and that $105,000 differential, that's my portability savings that I would take with me. So if I went and bought my next house, let's just say I spent $1 million, live on a lake, that's my dream home, I would take that $105,000. And I'm not sure if you guys understand how homestead works, but in most counties in Florida, what happens is whatever you purchase the house for, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 85% of what you purchased it for, they're going to assess that value at close to that. That's about what it is. Anywhere between 85 and 90% of the value. So if I spend $1 million on a house, my assessed value will come in somewhere between 850 and 900. And the beautiful thing about Florida is my portability savings, that $105,000, would lower my tax assessed value $105,000. So if it's 850, I would pay tax on 745,000. So good for me. All right. That's the beauty of living in Florida. Now, this is the travesty that we don't understand. Okay. Because the tax appraisers can't always market value and make it up to date every year. If I actually, as a realtor, sold my house and the real value when I sold it, I could sell my house for $650,000. The problem is, guys, the market value in tax rolls only says it's worth $355. Well, there is a program out there that can help correct that value before I move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share again. And I built this calculator. Can you guys see this? Can you see the Excel spreadsheet?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So all I did, guys, is I went ahead and I put in my assessed value per the tax appraiser, my market value per the tax appraiser, what I can truly sell my house for. Okay, right now my portability is $105,000. So when I go live on my lake house, I would save $2,000 from my portability. Woo! $2,000 a year, good for me. Okay, this is the travesty, and this is what we need to help our clients realize. If I'm going to go list a house, so I went on 3 listing appointments this week. I want to know if they're going to be moving somewhere in Florida. And this is the issue that we're having because the market has went up so much in the last few years. Just about everybody's market value on the tax appraiser sites is low. And if you don't correct it, so if I don't correct my market value to 650 before I move, I lose the portability savings from 250, not to 355 that it's on the website for, but the real value of 650. So if I correct this before I sell my house, I actually will save $400,000 and port that over instead of 105. And I'll save $8,000 a year in taxes versus $2,000 a year in taxes. Guys, that's real money. So all I'm saying is every time I go on a listing appointment or anytime I hear that somebody's thinking about selling, I ask them if they had a chance to correct the value of their home on the tax appraiser site. Doesn't matter what site, Orange County, Seminole County, Manatee County, you name it. And I know you guys are all here in Orlando, or I'm sorry, in Florida. This can all be done in your county. The problem is all of our clients, including us realtors, are missing out on these portability savings. So again, we have an assessed value, that's what you pay tax on. We have a market value, that's what the tax appraiser says your house is worth, which is typically low, 99% of the time. And then the current value is what I can sell it as a realtor. And if I correct my value to current value before I move, I get to port over that difference, and that's portability. And in my case, to my lake home, I would save $8,000 a year in taxes. Guys, I don't know about you, extra $8,000 a year, that's life-changing. I know interest rates are way up, and I know the stock market's way down. The one bright spot is when I figured this out 3 months ago, I wanted to make sure that I told everybody that this could help, which is pretty much everybody that's going to move from one place in Florida to another as a primary. This doesn't include investment homes. It doesn't include second homes. This is one primary to another primary. So that's the one cool thing that I'm going to be talking about at 2 o'clock. Does anybody have questions about this? Because I'm going to show you guys the second cool thing.
Hey, Ray, I was
Yes.
aware of portability, but I was not aware that you can get the county to update that market value. How do you go about doing that?
Well, there's a whole process, and it's not as easy. You call the county, and the county's going to go, well, we don't really do that. You know, when you, in August, when you get your trim notice, come talk to us after that. There's a whole process. So there's a company out there called Florida Homestead Check. If you go to floridahomesteadcheck.com, that for $125, they will actually give your clients every step of what you need to do for them to correct their portability. Correct their market value. Okay. So it's the cheapest $125 they'll ever spend. And you have to do that before you sell, and you should do it in the year that you're thinking about selling. Okay. Because there are big savings going on. All right. So I've taught this class now about 10 times, and there are several realtors after the class that'll come to me and go, Ray, I have a pending house right now and they're moving next week. How fast can this be done? Well, this isn't a fast process, but if the buyer and seller both sign up an addendum that basically states that the new buyer of the house is going to let the seller correct the value after the fact, then this is still allowed after the fact. Now, guys, the number one question that I get from most realtors are, well, if I have the buyer, why do I want the current value to go to 650 on tax records, right? That's what I get every class. Well, remember this, guys, the new buyer, if they bought my house at 650, they're going to hopefully apply for homestead. And when they apply for homestead, their assessed value is completely different of what the previous owner's assessed value. It's a taxable value. Remember, when they apply for homestead, it's going to be about 85% of the value, okay? Which means they're going to assess it somewhere right around 550, all right? Minus the $50,000 homestead, so call it 500. And then if they had portability, let's just say they sold their house in Pensacola, Florida, and they had $100,000 worth of portability, they could subtract that off the $500,000. So their tax assessed value is independent of your seller's market value. So it doesn't affect your seller's market value, that is a great question, because that would be the only downside of the new buyer signing off on that addendum. Okay, it allows the seller to correct it after the fact. It takes, from what I understand, about two months to correct it, to correct the value. Other questions? Okay, so moving on, portability also means, so this is getting your portability on your next house. Well, there's a lot of people in Florida. Remember this, guys, portability was created in 2008 when we were at the bottom of the market to help stimulate people to move. Nobody wanted to move because a lot of the houses were very, very down in values, okay? The hard part is, especially now, if I want to move I've been in my house for 19 years. You see my assessed value is only 250 and my market value is 650. Well, I'm looking at paying a lot more in taxes if I move right now. So portability was given us a chance to make our new taxes lower. And this is what I mean. So if I live in my house and I'm thinking about selling, and I lived in another house in Florida as a primary, and I never got my portability out of my last house, guys, guess what? If there's portability still left in my last house, I can go back and get it. Now, what people think is because I live in Florida, the county property appraiser just ports over my savings. That is incorrect, okay? If you're in a county, you move from orange to orange, automatic portability. Seminole to Seminole, automatic portability. Seminole to Orange, not automatic portability, especially if you're moving from, let's say, Escambia County to Dade County. I mean, the property appraisers, it's not their job to go get your portability, so they don't, okay? Rick Bosley is our head coach of our group. He took my class, he went back and found the portability in his last house from a few years ago. He's saving $330 a month because he went back and got his portability out of his last house because he went from Orange County to Seminole County. Just by sitting in my class, he went back and found that portability in his old house. Now, this is the only downside to this, guys. When you sell your house, all the portability in your previous house goes away. So if you don't go get it before you list and sell your current house, it is gone. So you have a chance to get portability in your last house, and you can stack this all the way to $10,000. So let's use Rick Bosley. He's taking his $330 from his last house. So call that $3,600 a year in savings. And if he were to move one more time, he could stack portability all the way up to $10,000 savings a year. Guys, this is real money. And this is the beauty of us living in Florida. Homestead and portability go hand in hand. You got to love the state we live in, and we're very lucky to live in Florida. All right, guys, questions? What you got?
I have a question. With regards to this, is this only for your homestead property, or could you do it for like other investment properties that you want to move up on?
Only primary homes.
Okay,
So one
thank you.
primary to the second primary. Now, I had somebody in one of my classes say, well, my people are moving to their investment house on the beach. So they bought a house 4 years ago on the beach as an investment. They're selling their house and they're moving there. Well, they're going to make their investment house their primary, so they can take the portability in the house today and move it to their investment house that they're going to make their primary. So yes, you can actually use this, but typically it's primary to primary. Now, the one thing that you're going to hear is portability only goes back 2 years. That's the only downside. You're going to talk about this and you're not going to know what you're talking about unless you come to my 2 o'clock class. But what they mean by 2 years, guys, is if I sell my house today and I decide to rent, like some people are saying now, I want to rent and I want to see where the market ends up next year or 2 years from now. As soon as I sell today, June 22nd, the clock starts ticking. And it's not that I go back in time 2 years, I go ahead in time 2 years. I have 2 years to buy something, or all of the portability in my house that I'm selling today goes away. And it's not 2 years, it's 2 to 3 years. So if I sell today, I've got all the way to the end of this year, that's about a half a year. I've got all of 2023 and all of 2024. And if I sell my house and buy a house before December 31st of 2024, I get to use the portability savings today. And if I correct my value, I'm taking $8,000 with me, baby. That's a lot of cash on my new house. And it's going to lower my taxes by $8,000.
But then you would still have to go back to the process and get that buyer to sign all the paperwork during that time frame, or you have to do it all beforehand?
Nope. Remember this, for them to sign the deal, the addendum to correct the value, I'm going to correct it before I move. I don't want to mess around and risk saving $8,000 a year. $8,000 a year to the average American. Remember this right now, because of the economy, the average household is spending an extra $460 and people are crumbling. That's about $5,500 a year. We're talking about saving that much in taxes. Guys, we can be heroes. Talking about hometown heroes, right here. We are
Yep.
your hometown heroes.
But
go
once you
back and-
close, you can't do anything else after the
Nope.
fact, right?
You cannot correct the value. And your portability in your last house goes away. So this is the caveat that I'll leave you guys with, because I'm out of time. The group
Thank you.
that actually exposed this to me, the Florida Homestead Check group, if you go to floridahomesteadcheck.com, at some point after July 1st, they're building a website that you'll be able to check your client's portability. So think about the database calls that you can have when you go and you're supposed to be calling your database, which no realtor does anyway. But let's just say that you have this really cool way to check to see if they have portability in their last house that they haven't used, and you can save them $1,000, $2,000. Rick Bosley, $330 a month. When he told me that, he owed me dinner for me teaching him that. $330 a month just went to his bottom line. Good for him. Well, guys, they're building this site. We'll be able to punch in an address of where they live now, where they lived before, what the time frames were. And if somebody lived and owned a house from 2008 till now, because that's when portability was started, then they can go back, fill out a form, and in 2023, they can start saving money, because they can't retroact and get all their savings from portability, but they can get it from now till the cows come home. So guys, at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be digging deeper into this. This is a great way for you to bring value to your clients, and heck, for you and your family as well. We're realtors. I can't believe we didn't know more about this, but now we do, and it's only at KW. So thanks for being part of the military. Hope to see you at 2
Thank you.
o'clock. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, I'm going to stop.
All right, guys. Whoop, whoop. All right, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and bring Karina Gafford. I've been in her class for the last couple of weeks. It's a great military class. It's called Building a Sustainable Military Business, and I've been enjoying it. It's every Tuesday, and it's been an eye-opener. The group that we have are a lot of people around the area and sharing. So Karina Gafford, want to take over?
Thank you so much, Ernie. And, time must fly when you're having fun, because we've been in class together for 11 weeks now, Ernie, not just a couple of, and it's going to be hard to follow Raymond. That was some amazing information about tax portability. I wish that we had that here. I'm out in San Antonio, Texas. So my name is Karina Gafford. I'm a fast tracks coach. I want to thank Ernie and the regional leadership in North Florida for inviting me on to chat with y'all. I'm excited to share about the class, and I'm really excited to chat with you guys because you guys live in my favorite place on earth. If I could ever convince my husband to leave San Antonio, I'd be right there taking over some space in y'all's office down there. So I went to college at Rollins, and my little sister went to UCF. I have a brother at UCF. So it is near and dear to my heart. Do y'all mind if I share some slides? Nope. Okay. Thank you. Let me get those guys up. All right.
A lot of the people in this group have been part of your class, so we're cheering you on. Thank you, Karina.
Well, thank you guys. And I know that several of y'all I see several of y'all in the that are in the class right now. And then some of y'all have been in some of the webinars. So I'm going to speak to those in just a minute. So again, my name is Karina Gafford. I am a military spouse, now veteran spouse with PCS 7 times before we ended up here in San Antonio. So my husband's from Texas. We run a team of military spouse and veteran realtors. We did with an average price point of $350,000. We did a little over 56 million in sales last year. But one of the things that I specialize in and that I love to speak about is I also have a referral network called Mill Housing Network, and we did just shy of 200 outbound closed referrals last year as well. So what that means, and what we talk about a lot in the class, and I love to talk about the how, and the processes, because ideas are great, but how you make things work, how you follow a process is super helpful and integral in making sure that you can make it work. And so I speak a lot about how you build a referral network, how you make connections with amazing agents like yourselves all across the country, especially those for me who want to serve the military community to help veterans, help military spouses, PCS, and then find their forever homes as well. So a little about what to expect in the class. And again, it's through KW Maps, and everybody's faces just disappeared. Where are you guys? There you are. I like to see people's faces. So this is weird. Otherwise, sitting here in my office by myself, talking to myself. So it's part of KW Maps coaching, and it's the fast track program. So as part of the group coaching, there's 20 different classes. And the class that I'm teaching is the one that specializes in helping you build a sustainable military business. Can anyone speak to what the word sustainable means to them? Or anyone in the class?
And it
Doesn't
maintains,
go away
it
and
maintains.
serve you year after year.
Something that you can repeat. I think that was you, Nikki. Something you can repeat year after year. Yes, absolutely. And Ernie,
Yes,
you were
it doesn't
sharing.
go away and
Yeah.
it serves you year after year.
Absolutely. That's a great explanation for it. Ernie, did you have something else to share?
Now you got it.
Sweet. All right. Thank you. So what to expect in the class. So as Ernie shared, it's weekly training session. It's a 12-week program. We meet once a week. We also have a weekly office hour. So it's a mastermind with folks who are in your class who have they're also growth minded. They serve the military community, and their goal is to grow that sustainable military business as well. And as part of the class, you're also building your military agent referral network, which is important. We actually just did yesterday's session on that. When we think about who the class is best for, so as we were putting this together through KW Military, working with Sajid, working with Monica Reynolds, working with Military Task Force, we started to think through different types of trainings and where is the need in our community. New agents, absolutely. So we pull from a lot of other courses. So I'm referencing Ignite and Bold and all the other trainings that you might go through in Keller Williams too, never ending referrals, absolutely. So we're integrating and helping cement some of that knowledge for new agents while helping them find a niche market. Team leads who have buyer agents that they're bringing on that they don't necessarily have time to train on some of the conversations and follow-up practices, how to work with military, how to understand and offer, how to understand VA loans, market center leaders as well. I know many folks have reached out to me across the country about trying to put in place a training program for their market centers. So we're putting in place SOPs as well. So your standard operating procedures, how do you create a plan? How do you create a program for your market center? Veterans, military spouses who have no local sphere of influence. This one's my favorite. When we arrived in San Antonio, I knew 2 people. I ended up selling 72 homes in my first year in real estate. And it was literally, I knew 2 people. So what I did was I worked, so my background, I cheated a little. So my background was in real estate advertising and marketing, and I worked with a company called Military by Owner. So during the last recession, I interviewed hundreds and hundreds of military families, realtors, lenders who worked with the military community over the period of 4 or 5 years to write their guides and blogs and connect with them about the unique home buying and selling needs of military families. So I've been doing this for a hot minute. And so I built up a great network in that way. And so it definitely lent itself to building an awesome referral network. Those are the heart for serving the military community. So not everyone in the class is either a veteran or a military spouse. Not enough coffee this morning. And so there are military brats, there are grandkids, there's family members. We have a heart for working with those who want to work with and who want to serve the military community, and it's huge. And so I'll get to that. And then agents who live near military bases or VA clinics. So do y'all even have a base in Orlando?
We only have the one near Tampa and then the Air Force
Yep.
Base, but we have the brand new VA hospital right here in Lake Nona.
There's a big
Yep.
reserve center with all
There's-
the services, yeah.
Absolutely. So there's
And the Army
reserve
sends their
centers.
doctors to the UCF Medical School.
Awesome. So it's all small pockets. They wouldn't necessarily know unless you're looking for it. And even when we were stationed down at MacDill, we had a couple of friends who commuted all the way from the outskirts of Orlando. So military are everywhere. And if you've got VA clinics, if you've got reserve units, and we went up to Portland to interview for, my husband was interviewing for an assignment up there, and it was going to be based out of Portland Airport. And I remember we flew into Portland and we were using our military ID. We went to, we were in our early 20s at the time, and we had our military IDs with us. And so, we were showing the card to the bartender, and they'd never seen one before. And this happened the next day and the next day and the next day. So, military are hidden in communities too. So we want to create a more welcoming environment. If Keller Williams is going to make a stand and say we have KW military, this is our segment, this is who we support. Everyone in Keller Williams should know how to serve, how to recognize veterans, how to recognize the military community, how to help and support and serve them. Oh, hey, look at that. It's a party on that slide. All right, key fact, question, and no one in the class is allowed to answer this. What percentage of all home buyers in any given year are military? Any guesses? Who's brave?
22%.
You said 22? I like it. Anyone else?
20?
25%.
You said 25? Y'all are really close. It is 1 in 5 home buyers in any given year are military. And so 2% are active duty. So of all home buyers in any given year, 2% are active duty, and 17% are veterans. And so many agents who are out there who are working with the military community, and they just don't necessarily realize it. And so by not necessarily knowing the conversations, the questions to ask, they're handing away their repeat client referral business just by not knowing those right questions to ask and how to help better serve that community. All right, so what should you expect at the end of the course? You'd be a graduate of Keller Williams MAPS, building a sustainable military business. We speak a lot about credibility in the class. How do you show your credibility, your third-party credibility as well? So it's something else to add to your marketing. You'll also have SOPs. You'll have a series of conversation guides, follow-up processes for working with military buyers, sellers, referrals, other military agents. The entire goal is to help you build like a thriving relationship-oriented business. As Gary speaks to it repeatedly, your relationship, your database is your business. Get in relationship with your database and build a moat around it. And that's very much how we guide and direct the class. So you're going to essentially have an operations guide for running your sustainable military business. So then over the next 3 slides, I'll show you the topics we'll cover, and then happy to answer any questions that y'all have. So, and I'm going to move your faces again. So introduction to the military community, the life cycle of a military client. So are we prospecting for buyers, sellers? What does that look like? What happens when your military seller leaves? Where do you find military buyers? We cover inbound lead sources. Lead gen is my favorite. If I could just do nothing other than lead gen all day, I would be a really happy person. Military buyer conversation guides, VA loans, and we cover that over the course of 2 classes, and then we reference it pretty regularly. Follow-up dialogue guides with military buyers and CRMs. So we cover how to work this class into command. And then I'm familiar with quite a lot of CRMs and use several for a couple of my other businesses. So I speak to how you can integrate those two. We talk about that more in depth, usually during the office hours. Reviews for military third-party credibility, how to build those reviews. And so it was really cool. We had an agent speak about integrating some of the military language into his marketing. And then by the next class, he had a new military client who had seen the post that he'd that he'd shared, and then his review that he had posted as well. So always we start each class with wins. So we're hearing great stories each time. VA loans, so a deeper dive into retirement rehab loans, and then nurture campaigns. So to grow your military by your client referrals, your repeat business, your outbound referrals to the next duty station. Preparing your military clients for the future. So talking about retirement, talking about exit strategies. Raymond spoke about being your client's hero. You know, if you can help have those conversations with your military clients, help them put a plan in place where they can prepare for their future. What will post-military life look like for them? That's one of the topics that we definitely cover. Military seller conversation guides and processes. How do you work with absentee military landlords and military moving timelines? Outbound referrals, connecting your military sellers. So how to make the ask. If you're on a listing appointment, even before the listing appointment, at every single listing appointment with a military member, when they're PCFing, going to their forever home, are you asking for a referral, to make the referral, to make the introduction? And then what's the process? What are the steps? How do you get that referral? And then when you send out a referral, how do you make sure that that referral closes? How do you make sure that your client is taken care of at that next duty station as well, and that they're happy? Because anytime you send out a referral, you're also lending your reputation as well to that other agent, that other party. And if it's not a good fit, a good match, then that affects the trust that you have with the client that you're in a relationship with. So how do you overcome that? What are the scripts? What are the questions you ask when you're doing that referral interview call? And then military retirees and veterans, how do you ask the difficult questions for this group that represents 17% of all homebuyers in every single year, to provide the most value and yield the biggest win-wins for them? So speaking about things like, their disability rating, how do you ask those questions? All right, so then fast track. So the class launches 3 times per year. The next launch is July 26th. And I'll post a link to it in the chat here right after. There's also monthly free webinars. So you'll see them come out if you're on the MAPS email list. You'll see them come out. Then there's another one, I believe, next week. And I'll be speaking more in depth about referral processes. I have a spreadsheet that I'll share on how to build your referral business. And then breakthrough coaching is through MAPS as well. If you're looking for something more in depth, that's 2 times per month. Mastery is 4 times per month, which I'm sure you guys are all already familiar with. But with all of that, what questions can I answer for you guys?
We have what was the hour that the classes are done?
It is 1:30 to 2:30 Central, so that is 2:30 to 3:30 Eastern time.
And also about the materials, this is something that I like. I know we have our class, and then we have the follow up on during the week. So it's like getting it twice, and then you also post the material in the Facebook page. Am I correct?
That's correct. So what we do when we go through the slides, we pull out things like conversation guides. We pull out things that you can use, like email templates as well for follow-up nurtures, anything that you can use to help you lead generate better, to help you follow up with your clients better. I pull those out from the slides and then share those in the group. So in this last week, we shared 3 downloadable guides that you can use to help better prospect for military sellers. Cool. Anything else?
What does weekly office hour mean?
On Zoom, chatting, open, mastermind. So we usually just have folks pop on and they'll ask more questions about the material they did that week, or they'll ask more questions about different parts of their business. If there was a question they had about VA loans, if there was a question that they had related to the material, but it triggered another question, like we had a client asking about I spoke about creating a military forever client program. So how do you work with a client, for instance, that they're moving to their next duty station? How do you reconnect with them so that when they're PCSing back to your area, or when their family or friends are staying in this area, how can you still work with them, stay in relationship so that you can get referrals as well from that client. So we brainstormed and we worked at a plan for her during that time. That was a great question. So it's really whatever the class needs. Okay, anybody else?
I just
Happy
want
to
to
answer any questions.
say that this is a great class for anyone who you don't necessarily have to be connected to the military, but you just have a heart to serve and to help. You're going to learn a lot. And especially with the VA loans, there's a lot to learn about the VA loans that you may not know, and that will be great. And for helping your clients. And so, and it not just translates military, you can use a lot of this stuff for your regular clients.
Well, we love civilian clients too. Awesome. Anybody else?
Well, Karina, thank you
Yes, sir.
so much.
My
can you
pleasure.
please put the link
Yes.
to that way? Because I know I'm getting side text messages and stuff. If you could just put it in there, and again, like Dawn and there's other people that are taking the class, and I love it. It's the structure that I need. I even have in my book, if you could see it. It is great. It's something that everybody's been asking. She has it there. So
Awesome, my pleasure. I'll put the link in the chat, and I will also include, there's a discount code provided by KW Military, so I'll add that in there for you guys as well. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to share. Thank you, Ernie.
awesome. All right, so next we have Lisa Tabler. She is the secretary for VA Rep Central Florida. She's been with the chapter for many years, and she is with Wells Fargo, and she's going to bring us information on the Hometown Heroes program. It's something that a lot of people have been asking about. And once I heard that she was getting the class, so now she's going to go ahead and share that information with us. Lisa?
Hey, yeah, I'm really excited about this program because it is a lot different with what it allows when you compare it to some of the other down payment assistance programs that we do have here in the state of Florida. This program is a bond loan program for the first mortgage. The first mortgage can be a conventional loan, an FHA, a VA, or a USDA loan in eligible areas, and it has a second mortgage with it. It's for frontline workers, and this is what's unique. There are 50 plus occupations that qualify. This is way different than Salute Our Soldiers that we had previously available, where it was only a few limited occupations. There is a huge list, and I can send Ernie the links to forward out later. But just for instance, in addition to teachers, it's the career specialist, the media specialist and librarian, the school counselor, the social worker, licensed childcare operators who own the facility, and licensed childcare instructors, in addition to what you normally would expect: RNs, LPNs, paramedics, law enforcement, juvenile correction officers, physicians, pharmacy techs. There is just this list of 50 occupations that qualify, and the customers do have to be full-time, and they do have to be licensed. And on the Florida Housing website, it has the links for where we as the lender would look up all their licenses for the customer. And then of course it's for military, it's for active duty military and for veterans. The customers do have to be first-time home buyers unless they're veterans. For veterans, they don't have to be a first-time home buyer. I know Ernie's eyebrows just went up. With the second mortgage, the down payment assistance, it can be up to 5% of the first mortgage loan amount that they will get for assistance. So, and that caps at $25,000. So if their loan amount is $400,000, that means they can get $20,000 for assistance. That can be used towards their down payment and or their closing costs, whichever is going to be more beneficial depending on that customer. The second is not forgivable. It is a recorded lien against the property, and the customers would have to pay that back if they sell the property, or at the end of the 30-year mortgage. but it's 0% interest, 0 payments. So does anyone want $25,000 at 0% interest for 30 years? Sign me up, right? For the lender, this is going to be beneficial even to those customers who may already have enough money for their own closing costs. Take, for instance, a veteran who's going to finance 100%. Maybe with these wonderfully high rates that we're experiencing right now, maybe the debt to income ratio is way higher. Maybe the customer can then pay off a debt and then use this money to help pay for the closing costs and to lower the loan amount. There's 0% contribution required on any of the loans under this Hometown Heroes program. Many of the other down payment assistance programs have a required customer investment into the transaction of 1%. For instance, under this program, there's no required investment. They just have to qualify under whichever program we, the lender, are putting them under. So if it's a conventional loan, for instance, they'd have to qualify under that with either having enough for the down payment or using the second mortgage down payment assistance for it. The income requirements for this program, for the income cap, this is what's very exciting as well, because a lot of the other programs, the customer can only be at 80% of the area median income, which doesn't go very far. With this program, I'll just give an example for Orange County. The household income, whoever is on the loan, can go to $124,350. So that's way different. This program can go to 150% of the area median income. Let's see. And it's some of the other programs do go by household income for whoever lives in the household, and some of them would, like USDA follows that rule. But for this program, it's only whoever's on the loan application. And for a married couple, whoever's on the loan, it doesn't have to be both parties on the loan. There's no origination fee for this, like I said. The Florida Housing Association does charge a couple of fees. They have a $400 processing fee for them, an $84 tax service fee, a $225 compliance review fee, but there is no intangible tax charge to the customers for this program and no documentary stamps on the mortgage. Just to give you an example, doc stamps on the mortgage are 35 cents per $100. On a $150,000 loan, that's $525 they'd be saving. Intangible tax is 0.2% of each 100. So on a $100,000 loan, that's another $200. So that's definitely a good savings for the customer. There are going to be documentary stamps on the deed, which customarily on a resale, the seller is going to pay anyway. That is still charged on these. The customer, like I said, has to be full-time employed and does have to be licensed in one of those 50 professions. For a veteran, if they're on active duty, the program requirement is going to be a copy of that military ID or the DD-214. And the customer doesn't have to have an honorable discharge as long as they have a discharge that is not dishonorable. So if they have a general discharge or other than honorable, as long as that DD-214 does not say dishonorable, they're going to be eligible for the program. Surviving spouse can also participate in the VA mortgage when they have a valid certificate of eligibility showing that the Veterans Administration has deemed that they are getting that. That second mortgage loan, as I said, it's up to 5% of the first mortgage loan amount, with the max being $25,000. It's 0% interest, deferred payment, and then it is a balloon payment at the end of 30 years, or if the customer refinances or sells the property, they'd have to pay that back. That second mortgage cannot be used as a gap if the appraisal comes in short. So just to answer that question, that would not be something we can use the funds for, but we definitely can use it for down payment and for any of the other closing costs. To give you a comparison, the Florida Housing Authority sets the interest rates for this program. So we go onto their website on the day we're going to lock a customer to see what are the rates for that customer for that program. So as of this morning, when I looked on their site for FHA USD VA loans, they're showing 5.5%. I did a little comparison, and that's really about the same as what a regular rate for us would be at this time. As of like an hour ago, our rates are very volatile, you know, the regular rates, not the bond rates, so they can definitely change. For the conventional loan, the rates on the bond authority go by the customer's income. If their income is 80% or below of the area median income, right now the rate on a conventional loan would be 5.875 for this bond loan program for Hometown Heroes. If their area median, if their income is over 80%, then their rate would be 6.375. For Orange and Osceola County, as I said, this program can go up to 150% of that area median income. And for Orange and Osceola, that goes to 124,350. The 80% of that would be 66,320. So if somebody was applying for a conventional, under this program, conventional loan, and their income was 66,320 or below, their rate today would be 5.875. If their income was above that, up to the 124,350, their rate would be 6.375. The bond authority does it by the income, not by the credit score. As a comparison from a little while ago today, if the customers had a 681 credit score and we're doing conventional loan financing, the rate for a 60-day rate lock right now would be 6.25% with a 6.556 APR. If they had a 679 or below credit score, it would be 6.625 with a 7.062 APR. I know, we're like, but the rates on this, you know, are about the same in some cases I'm finding on the VA, but they're definitely lower on the conventional loan program for those customers. And this does go down to a 640 score. And as you probably have heard, you know, when lenders are pricing loans based on credit score, the higher the score, the better the rate. The lower the score, the higher that rate's going to be, especially now. Some of those rates have really skyrocketed. So this is very beneficial for the customers. That's kind of the short version of it, I guess. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, and one thing I would say, if you do have customers and we're going to be utilizing this program, we would need a 60-day contract. You know, that would be important because any loan that you have that's not the norm, you know, that needs that extra layer of review, and bond loans and down payment assistance loans, 60 days would be the requested amount. There aren't going to be any appraisal waivers. This program wouldn't be eligible for anything like the program on regular conventionals where we might get an appraisal waiver.
So Lisa, when does the bond program review this? Just for clarity, so you go on the contract and you go for this program and you get everything almost completed, then it goes to the bond program to review?
It may depend on the lender, but we have what's called delegated underwriting at Wells Fargo. So we underwrite it. Our whole group underwrites the loan. We do everything directly with the bond authority. We provide the funds for the first mortgage as well as for the second mortgage at closing. That's a benefit too, because sometimes when customers are using a down payment assistance where the down payment assistance is providing the funds at closing, you're having to coordinate with them getting the money there and hoping and praying that they're going to do it in time. But in this case, we're providing the funds for both the first and the second.
Oh, that's awesome. So you don't have that fear of no funds and then you're losing the contract.
Exactly. Like, wait, the first mortgage money is there. Where's the second? I've had that in the past. And yeah, that's a nightmare.
Well, thank you for sharing this new information. Do you know if Wells Fargo's will be able to release the slides, or if you'll be
Yeah,
giving another class on this, or
They just rolled this out to us last week, so I've already requested, where's my marketing material? Where's my slides? And they don't allow us to create our own PowerPoint. It has to be approved by our ad services department. So hopefully within a week or so, I've already requested, hey, we need some info so we can actually distribute it other than verbally.
awesome. Well, at least if you can put your name, phone number, and email in the chat group. Guys, if you have any other questions, please make sure to reach out to Lisa. I want to take the time now for any questions you want sent up to Levi for KWRI, for the military, for everything that's happening. I know he's been having a lot of his own masterminds and stuff like that, and we talked to him about disseminating that. So we're all still working on that communication and linking everything. So does anybody have anything else that you would like to be brought forward to KWRI? And Ashley, I don't know, I think you did send out one topic from the National Guard event. If you want to touch up on that, if you want to help me talk about that before we close out.
Yeah. So on our last call, some of you may have been on there, some of you may have not, because we have a different, constantly people coming in and out of this group. There is a National Guard conference that's going to be held in the latter part of July. If you raised your hand last time that you were interested in, participating with your market center on an ambassador level for like military ambassadors. So your market center has an event or anything that would be on a military level, whether it's running a mastermind in your market center, having an event, around 4th of July, anything like that. You're just the person that leads those events and those opportunities through your market center. We asked for you to raise your hand. And so it wasn't anything formal. It was just people that were interested. Anybody on the last call that raised their hand that said, I would like to help my market center with that, you received an email from me with an opportunity to sponsor a booth at the National Guard conference towards the end of July. Now, depending on the amount of market centers that raise their hand that want to participate in this and have a booth, depends on the amount of the sponsorship. So, if we have 5 market centers, then we take the sponsorship amount and we divide it amongst five market centers. Now, here's the thing. I had one agent who wanted a booth just for themselves, and that's fine. But we also thought, this conference last over the couple of days. Maybe 2 market centers take one day, 2 market centers take the next day. Again, it depends on the participation to determine what the cost will be and how we're going to kind of divvy up the time. I know the booth is like a 10 by 10 spot, so it's not massive, but it's, it's not tiny, but we can't have 14 people there as well. So if this sounds like something that your market center would like to participate in, you can send Ernie an email, you can send me an email. We really just need to know as soon as possible, because we just need to let the lady know that we're working with, if Keller Williams is going to be there. I apologize, the gentleman that was on the last call, he was sharing with us how there's not really a real estate presence at these events. And this would be a really great opportunity for you guys to be there and answer the questions that these people have while they're here at this conference. So happy to answer any questions that I can online. It's going to be in Orlando at the SeaWorld Renaissance over on Central Florida Parkway, right off of I-4 528. So it's close to all the, highways and stuff. So it's not off the beaten path. So if you guys, any other questions that you guys have? Okay. So just let us know if your market center's interested, so we can kind of get a group together and have a representation at this conference.
Awesome. So I just put it in there just to make sure they CC both of us. I'll be calling everybody on that list. So this will be like every time there's something happening, I'm going to reach out to this person. So we're forming a little task group. Go ahead.
So Ernie, just for clarification, on the last call, we asked, would this be of interest to you? Is this something that you would want to do as far as being, I'm going to call it a market center ambassador? Ernie is our regional military ambassador. You would be your market center military ambassador. We just sent out an email to market center leadership to ask for the market center ambassadors for each community: military, YP, land, commercial, luxury, and so on. I also included in that email, if you raised your hand, I included in that email to say, hey, market center 1, 2, 3, Susie Smith raised her hand, be sure to reach out to her. Because the last thing I want is for them to think that it's John when Susie has raised her hand. There just needs to be a conversation. So if you did raise your hand, reach out to your market center and say, hey, I know you got a list. Can you make sure? Because we can't have 5 market center ambassadors. I mean, you can have a community, absolutely, just like you have with ALC. You can have a community within your market center, but there's one person that leads it. You can't have 5 leaders leading it. It just doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So if there's 5 people interested in it, that is awesome. But one person is the leader. One person is the ambassador. And then as a group, you guys make these events the best you can. Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, someone had ambassador is what I meant. Okay. All right, Ashley, you'll be sending me that list too, right? Of the market centers of who they have.
Well, right now I'm waiting to hear back from the MCAs on who their ambassadors are. Once the expectation is they're not putting anyone as the ambassador until they have a conversation with the person. So, you know, if you're the ambassador, you're going to know about it because your market center MCA or your team leader would have had a conversation with you. Now, again, just for clarity, this is not like been a week in the making. This is literally like today this was sent out. So if you haven't heard from your MCA, I don't want you to panic to think, oh my gosh, they're not having a conversation with me. Just give them let's say a few days to kind of compile the list, have a conversation, and then please follow up with them if you don't hear anything. Please follow up with them, throw your hat in the ring, and just let them know that you're interested in supporting this community.
That's the best advice. Go over there and speak to them and raise your hand.
Right.
That you want to do this, because I'm getting texts left and right, and it's much easier if you go through the chain of command, just like we talk in the military. Go through the chain of command. So you're here, and then go talk to the office, and then it comes because there's, yeah.
It just helps. It helps with the communication. It helps with you know, disseminating all that information. Once we get all these people in line and we have representatives, then we're able to clearly communicate this, and it'll be a streamlined process. Right now, we're very much in the infancy stages of all this. So I know it can kind of seem a little convoluted and just everything's everywhere and it kind of seems muddy. Just hang in there. We appreciate you guys being on these calls and being involved. And, you know, a couple months from now, we're going to look back. We're going to have a really streamlined process, and it'll all be worth it. Just hang in there with us.
Awesome. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And, you know, I hope we brought you some good material, some good stuff to talk about. Remember, this is where we're asking you, what is it you want? We heard that you guys said, hey, I'm not a veteran, I'm not military family, but I do want to, I have an uncle. We brought you a structured class that's already in the works. So if you want something, please let us know. This is the time to speak up. And I appreciate you all. I don't have nobody else is putting any feedback. So I guess I'll talk to Levi and see what he wants to trickle down. But this is your opportunity. These masterminds are your opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Woo, be productive. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.